Hello, hello. It's great to see everybody. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes. Waiting for everything to get loaded up, of course. Make sure that we give everyone a chance to hop in. Oh, hush, Kovu. Perfect. I think my microphone gain should be fine. Kovu, please stay away from my stuff. Come on, cat. That's not for you. Go this way, please. Thank you, buddy. Perfect. I'm a couple minutes late. So sorry. I'm wondering if the actual Discord bot's gonna work. Go away. Well, we're gonna see. Let's go ahead and get onto the Twitch. Awesome. Well, the stream is working. We haven't gotten a Discord notification yet. So we're just gonna post in the Discord. Not sure if bot will work now online. live.zachrwatson.com. That's the website. Michao, hi. How are you doing? We're about to play some drums. I'm gonna get a metronome started, and we're about to warm up. Play some beats. I'm gonna have to close out of Twitch in order to get to that. Here we go. Metronome. We're just gonna play what we call 8816. Easy, simple warm up. Oh, Michelle, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. That was very fast. You haven't even watched me yet. Perfect. Well, sweet. I think everyone can see me pretty much fully. Maybe my face will get cut out a little bit. But that's all right. All right, here we go. We're just playing some eights. Quick little warm up. One more. Perfect. Let's do some accent tap. We'll go from 12 to 3, forte to piano. Heck yeah, Michelle. You're a VOD watcher? Where do you watch the VODs? Do you watch them on YouTube, or do you primarily watch them on Twitch? Do that same thing again. Downbeat accent. Perfect. You watch the YouTube ones. Nice. I'll post it somewhere. I'll post the link. Let me post the link to the Discord and the Twitch chat. That way we can actually get people on. But yeah, we made a Discord server. For anyone who is new and has joined, we made a Discord server. There are tons of different, channels and things to talk about and lots of stuff to do. Let me see if I can get an invite link real quick. Let's see. Invite. Set this link to never expire. Share link. Copy. Go to Twitch. I'm on Twitch, and we post it in the chat. Perfect. If you want to join the Discord, it's in the Twitch chat. If you're on YouTube, I'm sorry. You can find it. What was it? My RuneScape video. If you go on the RuneScape video that was released like 2 days ago, the link to the Discord is in that, and I'll make sure to get it posted on the YouTube stream VOD as well. Well, cool. Let's keep warming up. We'll play some threes. starting to get warm now. Let me take my hoodie off. Sorry, TOS. Here we go. Alright, we're going to keep doing the 8s scheme, and we're going to play with 3s now. Same length of exercise. Same thing again. Oh, you're nutty G. Nice. One more time like that. That makes way more sense. Cool. Hands are moving a little bit. We'll go a little bit faster, a little bit lower. A little bit faster, a little bit lower. Yeah, perfect. We'll put this at like 6 inches. Mezzo piano. Medium soft. Still 3s. That's kind of tough. Nice. Well, cool. Sweet deal. So the main topics for today, for our drum stream, Flam interpretation, how when you play 2 notes at 2 different heights, a grace note a little bit before the primary note, how are we supposed to think about that musical idea, that piece of, I don't know, what is it, a rudiment? A singular flam is a rudiment, or I guess we can call it an ornament. So this is mostly about flam interp, and then we are also going to talk a little bit about sticks in, making sure that we can get a nice, crisp, loud sticks in. We'll give it another 5-10 minutes, play through some warm-ups just to let people join if they would like to, and then we'll get started on that. We're going to do the little 4-2-1 exercise for some rolls to singles, get the hands bouncing a little bit more. Here we go. Did that a little bit too long. We'll do the shorter version. Perfect. Yep. 1 repeat in the 2s, 4 repeats in the 1s. Let's take a second and let's go ahead and post on the Instagram. Let everyone know that we're drumming. Let's see. Take a pic. Ba-boom. Drum. Stream. Live. Live. At ZachariaWatson.com. Perfect. And as well, we can update our profile link. Make sure everyone also knows live.zachariawatson.com. Easy. Look at that. So fast. Well, cool. Let's keep going. We got some more 4-2-1. We'll go a little bit faster. Same exercise, maybe a little bit slower. Or sorry, a little bit lower. Let's go 134. Let's do the same thing, but down low. Nice and soft. That's harder. Harder. Gib! Thank you. I appreciate. I played the exercise wrong. I played the twos for too long. But I appreciate the Twitch follow. Do the same thing again, playing that piano. Yeah, cool. We'll do that one more time. We'll do it a little bit quicker once again. Calibrating our bounce, as we like to feel it. Nice. One more. Gotta have really soft hands. It's tough. Talking when you play is tough as well. That's like a learned skill for sure. But yeah, I think that exercise, stick control exercises like that are always a little bit more difficult for me to control when it's low rather than high. It's like having all of that material space to bounce through gives me more opportunity to exert my own control over the stick. So I always feel more comfortable floating up into those bigger heights than I do playing consistently down here. Tough stuff. Tough stuff for sure. Well, all right. Let's see. Today, we actually don't have coffee. I think that's like a first for us. Almost every single stream we've done. And in the last, like, all right, side note, the last, like, month and a half, the last 5 weeks, we've done like 30 streams. So it's like a pretty good ratio. You know, I think that's like one every other day, essentially, if not a little bit more. So that's like really great. And in almost all of those, I've been drinking coffee. It's been my choice drink because I like caffeine and I maybe have an unhealthy relationship with it. But today, green tea. Green tea is the way to go. How do I take my coffee? I just take it black. Um, and I don't know that I like it best when it's black. I think that's something I've more or less conditioned myself to do because of the fact that I worked at Starbucks for a long time when I was marching drum corps and I was trying to make money to pay all of my dues to be a member. And when you work at Starbucks, you have free reign over the espresso machine. And so if you don't have good self-control, you get into the habit of pressing the espresso button too often and just taking espresso shots. So yeah, I've gotten into the habit of just drinking like normal black coffee. I try not to think too hard about it. I try to avoid my sugars if I can. Suffer a little bit, avoid the sugars. All right, all right. So we have primary topic for today, Flam interpretation. We're going to talk a little bit about flams first, what flams are, how to interpret them in different ways, ways that other groups in DCI or WGI interpret flams, and then we'll work through a couple of exercises to start to calibrate the hands to make them feel more comfortable playing flams consistently. If you have an issue playing flams faster, and getting a quick enough bounce on the low end, this may be a good live stream to watch. So that's definitely something for the stream VOD watchers. Well, sweet deal. So firstly, what is a flam? To me, a flam is like an ornament. It's a grace, or no, I said that wrong. It's incorrect. A flam is a rudiment. The ornament involved in making that rudiment is the grace note. You have a primary note, a quarter note, and you put a little grace note on it, and that makes it a flam. And so what that grace note is supposed to do is essentially be an extra added note at a very minimal volume that comes in just a hair before your primary. And so our initial goal with the flam is not to play them perfectly on top of each other. That's what we would call a popped flam. It is more so to be a way to soften the sound. We want to play the note slightly before the primary note by just dropping the stick in place, because it actually changes the quality and the texture of the sound. It goes from being a pop, where you hear both making contact at the exact same time, to now more of like a cha. It makes the sound longer because you are making the grace note happen right before. And so with the longer sound, it comes across to the ear as softer. I think this is an important thing to understand when considering how other groups decide to play and define their flams. There are a lot of groups, for the sake of cleanliness, they will pop the flams intentionally. They will try to make their grace notes happen as close to the primary note as possible, so that way there is less calibration necessary from player to player. If everyone pops their flams, everyone plays at the exact same time, so everyone plays clean. This is not a wrong way to do it, but that definition, which some groups decide to do for the sake of cleanliness, to me, takes away from some of the musical qualities of what the flam actually is, which is a longer, softer sound than a double stop. And so I think that's probably the first big thing to note. That comes mostly from my experience marching Blue Knights. That was not something that other groups that I marched at talked about very often. Atlanta Quest, Music City Mystique, Spirit of Atlanta. We did not spend much time defining the quality of the flam and the actual rhythmic interpretation or spacing of it. And so when I got to Knights, I auditioned. One of the exercises I had to play in front of Mike Jackson was Niner, which starts like this, which is an incredibly tough thing to play consistently when you're used to popping your flams. And because of Mike Jackson's musical writing capabilities and how much he cares about that aspect of the activity and the artistic nature of it, he wants to hear the flam. He wants to hear the cha and the long sound. He doesn't want to hear the pop. And so that's just a difference between how some groups may define it and how you may define it for yourself when you're playing. You have an opportunity to define it as either a perfect pop or a longer, softer cha. What we're going to be mostly talking about when we practice these flams today is to get the musical quality of it, to get that longer cha, and to figure out how to get that grace note to find a consistent spot before the primary. I think practicing the double stop flam is considerably easier than practicing the true flam, where we're listening for that quality of sound. So what we're going to kind of work on is a small exercise where we're focusing on hand independence. And this is super important because when we define these little grace notes, we're essentially just trying to take the stick where it's resting in set position, which is floating slightly above the head, and we're just relaxing the hand enough to where the stick falls and taps the head. I would not even consider this the same quality as a normal tap. When it comes to how much velocity you input behind it, how fast you flick the stick, it's not going to feel like a normal 3-inch tap. To me, in order to keep the softness of the hand there, I have to literally just drop it. And this dropping feeling is very helpful because it gives us a more consistent chuff sound. If when we play a flam, just one singular flam, primary note and grace note, prep the low note up to parallel, we actually lift the stick, the bottom stick up along with the top stick, that's a problem because we now have to throw the stick back down with a certain amount of velocity. And usually our hands like to feel like they're moving together. And so when we get that low end prep where the bottom stick moves up too, we typically get more of a pop. It's harder to lift it up and put it back down and find that spacing. If we leave the stick in set position and we play that flam and we just let it fall, it's always going to land before the primary note because there's less distance behind the stick. And even if you throw this one pretty fast, the stick is already so close to the head that by dropping it, it's going to get there before the big primary note. So that's my first thought when it comes to how you feel the flam in the hand and how you approach the actual throw of the grace note. It's not a throw. It's more of a drop and a drop bounce, if that's kind of what you want to call it. And so you can exaggerate it a lot. You can take the fingers off completely and just get a feel for like what it's like to let the stick bounce true on its own without any assistance from the hand. I think that's just a great way to figure out how to feel the stick a little bit more comfortably. And then once you feel that dropping sensation and you understand how fast it actually moves, what effect it has on your hand, you can leave the fingers in the spot and just let the stick fall. Just relax the wrist joint. And so that may seem like a really boring practice, but I can guarantee it's going to be really helpful for disengaging the hand and getting a softer approach to your grace note. Right? So what we're going to kind of do is go back to this idea of independence that I was talking about. Independence is super important when you play flams because your primary hand, whatever is leading your pattern, has to prep, lift, and throw the stick with a certain amount of energy to play whatever pattern it's asked to play. And our grace note hand has to have a very, very soft feel to it. Tovu, not now, buddy. We're streaming. I know you want to hang out, cat. Not the time. So, what was I saying? Strokes, flams, right? So independence, we need to make sure that as we lift the primary hand up, we have enough independence to be able to also drop the low hand. One hand has a prep and a throw with a lot of velocity. The other hand just sits there and falls. And we got to be able to do that at the same time. So this exercise is specifically with that in mind. We're going to be playing eighth notes, right? Normal accent tap with the right hand. And that's the first bar. We'll do that 2 times. 1, 2. And that's the end of that pattern. What we're going to do with the left hand whenever we do that is for bar 1, we're just going to play quarter note grace notes. And so we're going to get that disengaged dropping sensation on every single quarter note while our right hand is playing. Right, and that's just bar 1. Hello, Zachary R. Good to see you. Right, so we're playing that 8th note accent tap pattern. Bum, 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 bum. We're getting awesome, comfortable, relaxed preps, throwing the primary hand down with a specific amount of energy, however much velocity you feel like you need behind it to get a relaxed and full feeling. Our grace note is just a drop. Bum, bum. We're disengaging the hand and letting it fall from set position. And this is something where even when you try it right now, you are very likely going to be overstroking your grace note just because your hands are doing 2 different things. Just because your right hand has to prep and throw the stick with a certain amount of velocity, your left hand is also going to want to throw the stick with a certain amount of velocity. So the idea is to break that habit, is to just work on velocity in the right hand and allow the grace note to have almost no velocity, just its natural falling velocity, nothing added from your hand or a stroke. And so you can feel that a second, just like we did before by taking the fingers off every single time and actually letting the stick fall out of your hand, which is kind of difficult. It feels really, really weird. But that will at least help you understand how fast the stick actually needs to move through space to comfortably bounce back up to its initial position. Alright, so enough of bar 1. It's just quarter notes on the left hand. When we get to bar 2, our right hand still does the same thing. Our left hand plays the 8th note along with it now, and these are still grace notes, so they're still happening before the primary 8th note that the right hand is doing, and it's a drop. It is not a velocity stroke. And so the intention is that we can practice both quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, with minimal velocity. We're trying to remove that fast flick from the hand. Right, so let's play both those bars together a couple of times. Get that one more time. Cool. So as you get more comfortable with the idea of approaching the grace note that way, you'll probably feel your hand actually prepping a little bit. Like there is a small lift before you play the grace note, because that's what our hands are naturally inclined to do. It is hard to bounce the stick over and over and over again without exerting any energy on it. That just like scientifically doesn't make any sense. If we just allow the stick to fall on its own, it's going to fizzle out eventually. Right? So there is some amount of velocity behind the grace note. Our intention by practicing it this way is that we are looking for the minimum amount of velocity required to make the grace note happen. So that way we don't stress our hand out extra, or we don't make our hand feel like it has to push harder for the grace note than it does for a normal tap stroke. Right? And by practicing this exercise, that is something that we immediately kind of retrain our hands to. So let's play that same 2 bars one more time, and then we'll add on the next pattern. Sweet deal. So for the first 2 bars, the primary pattern on the right hand was just accent tap. For the next 2 bars, bars 3 and 4, we're going to play 3s. And these can be like a natural decay, but we're looking for a wrist stroke from every single note that we play. So we'll get 2 bars of that, right? If I count it out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Perfect. That's going to be the primary pattern on the right hand. Just like the first 2 bars, we're going to do the exact same pattern on the left hand. Just the quarter note drop to calibrate it with our new primary pattern. And then the 8th notes, where we're lining up with the first and the third note of the 3 in our primary pattern. We're just adding a note in between what we were doing before. So let's go ahead and play just those 2 bars a couple of times so we can get a feel for the 3 pattern compared to the accent tap that we started with. One more time. One more time. Cool. Biggest things to look out for: using too much velocity on the grace note 8th notes. Chaka-cha, 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 chaka-cha. And the second thing to look out for is our right hand primary pattern, making sure we don't change it between bar 1 and bar 2. It's really easy to play a big open rebound on the first bar. Sometimes, just because we're asked to put a note on the last note of the 3, 1, 2, 3, we like to hold this down for longer. And so the interp changes from big and bouncy in bar 1 to now a little over controlled and a little bit stoppy and downstrokey on that third note. Or just falling into the head a little bit faster and not getting the same volume. Let's do those same 2 bars just a couple of more times. And I'm a big culprit of problem 2. I changed my right hand in the second bar. I have to be really thoughtful about keeping that right hand the exact same, even as I change my left hand pattern. Let's go back to bar 1, and let's do all 4 of those bars together. So the only difference is first 2 bars, right hand plays 8th note. Second 2 bars, right hand plays 3. And that's all 4 bars so far. Let's do that much. Definitely changed it on that very first 3. One more time. Cool, much, much better. Just so we can feel the same sensations on the left hand, because it's important to train our left hand to feel the same strength, the same consistency, the same accuracy as our right hand does, especially with traditional grip. Let's play it off the left. Same exercise off the left hand. I love that comment. Death Priest, you hit rubber with wood stick. Good. That's literally all this is, and I think it's so fun when people like really complicate drums. We're just hitting stuff with wood. It's in time. We're hitting stuff with wood in particular intervals. That's a great comment. Let's get one more rep off the left hand. That was on Twitch, by the way. If you're on YouTube, you didn't see that. Whoops. One more time. And I think for me, there's a little bit more of a challenge with keeping the grace note minimal in velocity when I play it off the right hand. I feel comfortable doing a right hand lead flam because my left hand's pretty good now at going soft, 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 soft. My right hand, though, always likes to overwork and wants to push harder for... And so I need to find a way to soften that up. Well, cool. So we've played our breakdown so far. We have 4 bars total. 8th note for the first 2, 3 for the second 2, the next 2. We have another set of 2 bars, and now the pattern fits into this like really fast triplet kind of grouping, where we have, where if we think about what the actual math is, it's a first 6-tuplet partial, a rest on the second 6-tuplet partial, a note on the third 6-tuplet partial, and then a 4th on the upbeat of 1. So we have triplet and, triplet and, triplet and, 4 let and, 1 let and, 2 let and, 3 let and, 4 let and, 1. And we'll do the exact same patterns that we did off the right hand for this, right? And so we have the left hand playing the quarter note. And then we have the left hand playing the 8th note, where it lines up with the cha-cha-cha, the upbeat of the right hand's pattern. Still looking for that same dropping sensation in the hand. So I'll put those 2 bars together a couple times just so we can hear what it sounds like. And a lot of you will hear a popping on cha-cha because you're going to want to prep that grace note too much or throw it with too much velocity where it's too similar to what your right hand's doing. It has to be independent, and it has to be a soft drop to create a flam on the upbeat. Same 2 bars, same 2 bars. It's really tough. It's easy to pop. One more time. Sick. Not too shabby, not too shabby. So let's go back to the top. and let's play all 6 bars together. We have the primary pattern being 8th note, primary pattern being 3, primary pattern being the 1 let and, 1 let and. I've never seen someone have this much fun in a quiet room with 2 sticks and a piece of rubber. Welcome to drumming, my dude. That's literally all that we do, is we hit stuff with wood in particular ways and we go, ah, cool, let's do it again. Here we go, let's do all 6 bars, and we'll put this along with the metronome now, so that way we can handle this. Way too fast. Cool, we're at 90 beats per minute. This is pretty slow. Pretty slow. Here we go. 6 bars. Oh gosh, I messed that up. 2 and ready, go. That's an intelligent evaluation on your part, Death Priest. Well, since you like repetitive shit so much, I can see why you enjoy RuneScape. Yeah, absolutely. RuneScape is such a chill and repetitive game. It's so easy to play in the background. That's exactly it. Just like drums. We're just calibrating the same action over and over and over again. Yeah, not the most fun, but I don't know. Some people think it's fun. Let's see. Let's do the same thing one more time. Make sure that I can play that last 2 bars and actually get the grace notes correct. I keep messing up the right hand pattern. 1, 2, and ready. 8th notes. 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 3. 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note. So that's just a great way to work on the independence aspect of flams. Make sure that your low left hand can actually keep that nice, soft, dropping feeling and not overpress or over energize the stick. Let's do the same thing off the left hand a couple of times just so we can work on our traditional grip. What do you think of black metal? I think black metal is dope. Black metal is awesome. I think metal in general is an awesome genre. I think it's all good. I think it's all good. Here we go. Left hand lead. Left hand lead. 1, 2. 1, 2. 8th notes first. 3. 2. 1, 2. Ready, go. Nice, nice. Well, Death Priest, you'd actually be surprised. There are practice pads for kick drums. You just need like a normal bass drum or kick drum pedal, and then there are actual pads that they have on stands that they make for that purpose. I don't play as much drum set as I play rudimental snare drum. Like I literally focus on just this one pad, just that one drum, and play like really hard and fast rhythms on it. Like that's what we do as just rudimental snare drummers. So I don't have a ton of experience with a kick drum pad, but I know that they exist. Well, sweet deal. So now that we've worked on just a basic independence exercise, right? Let's find a way to make this a little bit more complicated and to actually work on some applications to what we'll encounter in normal music. We play things like flam taps. We play things like Flam accents. Right, we have like hand-to-hand flams, which are important to be able to keep that left hand consistent. So let's see, let's work through a couple of patterns. We have the first 2 bars where we're just playing the 8th note. So we're going to actually start in bar 1 with the 8th note hand speed. So every note is a flam. For the next bar, we're going to add a 3 on the left hand. Now we're playing 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, instead of 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. So adding that with the right hand, it now sounds like. Right hand still plays the normal accent tap. Left hand plays the 3 underneath. So let's do those 2 bars real quick. Normal 8th note, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and grace note 3. And it's going to be tough. It's like, how soft can you keep the 3? How little velocity can you actually use on the 3? Here we go, 2 bars. We'll just do this 2 times. 2 and ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1. 6. So that's our first pattern, just so we can work on the flam idea. Right, that falling flam is a weird feeling in the hands. The next 2 bars, we have the 3 as our primary pattern. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. The first thing we're going to work on is our normal 8th notes, just like we did in bar 1. Whoops. And in bar 2, we're just going to accent the upbeat. So now we have the actual big flam, the new primary note for our flam tap. So our 2 bars is now 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and with the 8th note, and then upbeat accents on that left hand. And so your left hand just goes from this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and to this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's play just those 2 bars a couple of times so we can get a feel for that weird hand switch. 1, 2, 1, 2, and ready, go. 2 and ready, go. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet deal. Real quick, I'm going to close my door. I think there's AC noise. Perfect. Michelle, when playing rhythms like these, how do you think about the 3 in the left hand being in time versus having 2/3 of the 3 in time and having the grace note actually be slightly ahead? I don't know if I've been doing it wrong. I've never thought about the 3. That's actually a really, really fair question, right? So when we're playing that low 3 on something like this, right? I think an important way that I think about it is I can almost interpret the left hand as if it's in time during that 3. Like the first note is obviously the grace note, right? But the hand motion is what's important. It's the rhythm of 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. Wherever it starts, whether it's like barely before for the grace note, I just focus mainly on keeping that bass rhythm consistent. And so if I just play the primary note and that low 3, 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. Technically, this is starting before the downbeat, but I'm still playing a perfect 1 E and, 2 E and so technically my 3rd note is also ending slightly before the downbeat. And so with the hand-to-hand flams, the 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, your right hand's on the grid, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Your left hand is perfectly in time, but slightly before the grid, slightly behind the downbeat, but it's still a perfect 1 E and, 2 E and. That way you can still get the grace note for the first note and the grace note for the last note, and you can play something that feels rhythmically consistent. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Chicken Nuggers, good to see you on YouTube again. Happy New Year. It's been a couple of days. All right, so let's play that pattern a couple more times, right? We got the 3 as the primary pattern. Bar 1, we have the low 8th note. Right, bar 2, we have the upbeat accent on the 8th note. those two. One more time. Sweet deal, sweet deal. I think eventually the hands get to a point to where they get comfortable enough playing consistent groupings of rhythms, and they get comfortable enough with dropping slightly before the downbeat to where you can make both of those things happen. You can enter slightly early, still play something rhythmically perfect, and end that last note as if it's a grace note still, and it has the correct ratio to the next downbeat and creates that flam again. So that's just, yeah, that's a weird question. That's a really, really good one. Made me think a little bit. Let's go back to the first bar and let's play the first 4 bars. So now we have 8th note pattern for all of bar 1. Low 3 in the grace note hand. And then 3 in the primary pattern in the right hand, 8th note on the grace notes. And then upbeat accent. All 4 so far. Oh, perfect. That's what you want. 2 and ready, go. Whoops. Up, 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 1. We'll get 2 more times on that. Flam, 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 flam. 1 E and, 2 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 3. Upbeat, 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 upbeat. One more time, one more time. Sweet deal. So that's not too bad so far. Let's think about what pattern 3 was when we were playing it earlier with the more basic version of this exercise. So this is going to help us break down our flam accent feel in the hand, make sure we can keep the hand soft and fast and agile enough, right? We still have that same pattern. 1, let and, 2, let and, 3, let and, 4, let and. For the first bar, we're going to do exactly what we were doing before, right? Bar 1 is now straight 8th notes in the left hand. Or what used to be bar 2 in the last version of the exercise. Play just that bar a couple times. Right, and I think that rhythm question again still applies here, right? The primary hand is on the downbeat, it's on the actual grid. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you put a metronome to that and you played it perfect, you would cover the metronome up. The left hand is playing perfect 8th notes, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and. But the first one's a grace note, and everyone after that is a grace note. So the first one falls slightly before because there's no prep. It just goes boop. And so it enters earlier than your normal prepped note would. So it falls before the grid. And every 8th note falls in that exact same spot before the grid because it is still consistent 8th note. And so hopefully you'll avoid that pop by having one hand play barely in front of the downbeat the whole time and having the other hand be your grid, be your consistent thing. And the way you separate it is with velocity. One hand preps, one hand throws with velocity, one hand actually lifts and strokes out, the other hand just falls. And so, by the laws of physics, that one has less distance to cover, and it's way closer to the head, and it's going to hit first. So that's definitely the way I kind of think about it. So let's go back to the top, and let's try to play all 3 of those patterns together. We'll talk through them again real quick. We have just flams, right? 8th note flams. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we have the 3 on the grace note hand. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. And then we have the 3 pattern where we play flams on, 8th notes on the left hand grace note, and normal 3s on the right hand. For bar 2, we upbeat accent that left hand. Now we have pattern 3, where we go back to the 8th notes on the grace note hand. And then the very last bar is just a filled-in Flam accent. Sorry, let's put that accent in there. And so what the left hand changes from is this normal 8th note. Whoops. That it plays in bar 1. To now this rhythm. And so it's finding how can we play the 8th note with minimal velocity. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Can I squeeze those 2 notes together, close that gap, and still feel minimal velocity? Cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha. Can I still get the drop? 1 and 2 and cha-cha, cha-cha, tripo, tripo. And then can I prep out of that? Am I still relaxed and soft enough to be able to lift out of that like no velocity double, and let the hand come up to here for my next accent? And do the same thing again. A drop, drop, lift, boom, drop, lift, boom. And so this is all about how can we apply that minimal velocity idea to a more condensed rhythm that actually has some extra motion coming out of it. A normal prep into something big and on the grid again. And so we'll play just that pattern a couple of times so we can feel it. We have bar 1 of the last pattern. And then we have the filled-in version. Ah, Michelle, that's a great find. Yes, Nieganacht, the exercise that BK and Broken City have played over the last couple of years. Great example of this concept. There are a ton of flams in there. Yeah, really good for that hand independence, the rhythmic consistency, but in different spots on the grid to get the right feel and expression out of it. Definitely. Back to pattern 3 real quick, right? We have full Flam accent. Let's play just those 2 bars. And if you feel that you struggle to get the Flam accent this fast and still keep all of the hands relaxed, there's probably 2 spots to immediately look at and diagnose. One is the initial double, right? The ability to play the grace note and the left hand tap that comes in on the second partial with almost no velocity. Can we just let it fall? If so, perfect. That's amazing. 1 second. My doorbell. We have bells on my door handle. I don't know if my cat is messing with it or if somebody is trying to break into my home. Oh my gosh, cats. Ugh, all right. So we have 3 patterns now that all have a more complicated aspect to it than the original exercise that we played. Now our bass pattern for measure 1, 3, and 5 always has the 8th note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the primary hand is still the same. Accent tap for the first one, 3 for the second one, and the triplet version for the third one. So bar 2, bar 4, and bar 6 is our rudiment application, right? When we get to bar 2, we're trying to play the flam idea by adding a 3 on the low end. Still focusing on primary hand on downbeat, but secondary hand is rhythmically consistent and has minimal velocity. That's bar 2. We get to bar 4 where we have the 3s and we're trying to break down the flam tap rudiment. Can we go from a minimal velocity disengaged 8th note to now a disengaged 8th note that has a prep? and actually being able to throw that back on the downbeat, put that back on the grid. So that'll take a second to kind of figure out. And then bar 6 is our filled in flam accent, where you're trying to play this 8th note first, minimal velocity, and then condense it, and then relax the hand enough to be able to lift back out. Boom. And when you can get all that together, we have the full exercise. Let's go ahead and play through a couple of reps. Flam, 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 flam. 3. Primary 3. Flam tap. Triplet. Whoops. Filled in. Now do that without talking. That's kind of a tough exercise. There's a lot to think about. Flam, flam, flam. 3. Whoops. Flam tap. Triplet. Cool. Yeah, I need a couple reps on that. That's a hard pattern. One more. Sick. Perfect. That's the exercise. You can do it both off of the right and the left hand, right? So now there's 2 versions of it. You have your normal quarter note to 8th note. Quarter notes and the grace note, and then 8th notes. And that's just to help you understand the concept of minimal velocity for the grace note interpretation to consistently get that actual crunch, that longer flam sound. And then we go into the more complicated exercise where the bass pattern is now 8th note, grace note. And then we have particular variations of each of the 3 patterns. And the first one is still consistent 8th note. Whoops. Sorry, first one is the 3. Second one, we have the upbeat accent in the 8th note. And the very, very last one, we are just filling in that double triplet. Very similar to the last one we played. Cool. Hopefully some of that was helpful. If you need more of that information or need anything repeated, this stream bot is definitely going to be up on the YouTube channel, as all the other ones are. So you can zoom back through it, scale back, and find the comment in particular that you needed to listen to again. And hopefully that's helpful. Before we finish up the drum stream, we also got requests to talk about sticks in. Right? I can't believe it's already been an hour. I gotta head out, but we're checking out the VOD for sure. No problem, dude. Yeah, thanks for staying the whole hour. That's awesome. Appreciate it. All right, so sticks in, right? Sticks in is I don't know why everyone asks me to explain sticks in so often. In my mind, it's incredibly simple, and it's always been like relatively easy to get a good crisp sticks in just by following like the normal laws of physics, right? So let's talk about a couple of things that make a good sticks in, and then we'll give some examples and things to be looking for to help your sticks in quality. So firstly, laws of physics and things to be looking for. We want maximum vibration and resonance from the implement, right? So we want this to be as loud as possible by having as little contact around it as possible. The more your hands contact the sticks, quieter your sticks in. Mainly because the sticks just can't vibrate, they can't resonate. Right? If I'm clicking sticks, I would never do it with a tight squeezed hand. I would do it with a relaxed open hand. So that way the stick can actually ring. And I think that concept is like one of the biggest and most important aspects of like a good sticks in. is it's easy to, from your last note that you play, have a tight and firmer grip compared to what you normally experience when you bring your hands up to set position for the first time, right? If you have an inability to release the energy in your hand on your final note of a phrase, as if nothing happened before, and you just brought your hands up to set position, that's something that's hard for you, then your hand's going to be tight and your sticks in is going to be quiet, right? So what we got to do is practice and cultivate the habit of your very final note of a phrase being soft in the hand, or you being able to feel that exhalation feeling of releasing all of that energy into the drum head. That's something I talk about with my students all the time, just to relax the hand and disengage it and make sure there's no residual energy from what you just did that's still left over in the grip, right? So for a sticks in, we want to release all of that energy. Now we don't have any pressure in the fingers. We have the softest touch as we possibly can around the stick, and now it can resonate. So when we bring it together, it's crisp. And as long as the sticks click next to each other, then everything just starts to sing. Bye, chicken nuggers. Good to see you. We will have fun. We're going to be playing some RuneScape later, so definitely feel free to hang out. So that's first rule, resonance, right? We want to have the stick be relaxed in the hand, no extra grips. That way it can actually vibrate. Second thing that is helpful and just general physics when it comes to getting a loud sticks in is velocity, right? From here, even if we keep a really open and soft grip, if we move the sticks too slow, even making perfect contact together, right? There's not enough velocity behind the sticks in to actually give you volume. So you have to be able to combine a disengaged grip, one that doesn't interfere with the resonance of the stick, and be able to move it really fast, right? The faster you can move it while still keeping that softness to the hand, the better. And I think not only is it where your hand starts and how it feels there, but how your hand feels when you actually make the sticks in close, right? If your hand gets tight on the close, you're not going to get noise. So you have to try to move it fast and stay disengaged even when they make contact, right? And that's what gives you that loud crack and that loud volume. So that's two things, right? Just general resonance of the implement and velocity, how fast they make contact together. Last thing is literally just how they make contact together, right? If you slide the sticks together and it sticks in, they come together, and the angle of it is, back of the stick makes contact first, and then it rolls together, you're not going to get nearly as loud of a clap as if the sticks literally mesh. And so this is where you see some people extend outwards, forwards, and then bring the stick back in, further sticks in. And they get this really weird roundabout way of bringing the sticks together. It's to help facilitate that flat pressing of two sticks making the exact same flat contact with each other. This can be achieved without getting that huge push forwards, right? If we're just really intelligent and efficient about rotating the wrists, we can bring the sticks to a flat position before we actually get that snap together. It's just about being able to take it slow and recognize what it takes to actually get the sticks to smack each other at the same angle. But that's always what's going to give you, close to maximum energy into the stick. I think technically it would be like the bead or the butt. Like there has to be some part of the stick that makes contact like barely before, right? If that happens, then if they make contact perfectly together, then I guess there's some stopping of the resonance, like the sticks themselves are keeping the other stick from resonating. So maybe it is like a little bit better to have that slight flam to it, like barely back before front. I think it's something that's so negligible and it happens so fast that like you won't even notice. It's really hard to like calibrate, oh yeah, that little flam happened. Generally you'll hear it because you'll just get that nice sticks in and everyone will be happy. So those are the laws of the sticks in, right? We just want maximum resonance, right? We want the stick to vibrate as much as possible. We want velocity. We want to be able to snap those wrists without affecting the tension of the hand. And then lastly, we want flat contact. We want to be able to bring the sticks together close to the same time. So that way they actually have the opportunity to hit each other and resonate rather than just the butt hitting the butt or the bead hitting. This is the same stuff that applies to match grip as well, right? This isn't just traditional grip sticks in, right? All the same rules apply, right? We need velocity in the wrists. we need a disengaged and soft grip even when they make contact, and then we need, that flat contact, which I think is a little harder for match grip because your fingers are in the way, right? You have to lift fingers out. It gives you more opportunity to clamp too hard when you bring the sticks in and not get maximum resonance, right? So it's a lot of practice on, how disengaged can my grip be while I still move this sticks in really fast. And generally, you'll just get good enough at keeping the hand soft as the sticks in happens, and whether it's traditional grip or match grip, you're going to feel pretty confident about snapping the sticks together and still keeping the hand and the grip soft enough to facilitate a nice, loud, you know, high quality sticks in sound, which is so funny to me. I love that people are so interested in like what is a good sticks in and like how to actually do it. But it's really just those three things. I think it's way simpler than everyone makes it out to be. There's not some complicated and convoluted technique to the sticks in that makes it loud every time. It's just, being thoughtful about how you're moving the sticks and what effects your hands have on the sticks. And as long as you take all those things into account and you actually practice that and you make sure that you're diagnosing your habits of gripping too tightly or not moving the stick fast enough or not making contact properly, if you can diagnose those things, your odds of having a good sticks in go way, way, way up. But that's all I got for you guys today. We've done like an hour now. It's been awesome. Um, we can't spend a ton of time on drums today, so I think we'll cut it here. If you are hanging out and you're new to the channel, definitely throw a follow or subscribe if you can. We just opened up a Discord server. I'll make sure to get the link to that Discord server posted in the description of the stream VOD. Ooh, we got Virtual Biscuit. Appreciated. Thanks for the follow on Twitch. We'll put the Discord information, the Discord link in both the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel, and the VODs for both of those videos. And, that's all I got for you. We worked on Flam interpretation today. We worked on the approach to a sticks in. If you need any more information about that stuff, either go back and watch the VOD and hit the chunk that was most informational to you, or feel free to go to live.zacharwatson.com and send me a message on any of the social media accounts listed there, and I'll be more than happy to help and give some information about drums. Otherwise, we may be back tonight with some RuneScape on Twitch and YouTube. So if you want to follow some game stuff, just be aware that we'll be back later. But otherwise, great stuff. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I really, really appreciate it.